backgrounds of the illustrations that I'm going to be doing today. So I've got like 3 different illustrations that I'm going to be doing. I've already painted in the backgrounds. So I'm just going to go in and start finishing these illustrations up. Thank you for joining me. Hello. So this has been quite tricky for me because this is my very first art market. I have found it so tricky with my very first art market because it's difficult to know how much art you really need. And you really don't know that until you start making the art, until you've laid it all out. And there's lots of different pieces that I need to get on with when it comes to getting ready for this art market in, just a few weeks. It's all coming up pretty quickly, and I no longer have a month left. I have probably around 3 weeks, and I'll have the art market in September. Welcome. Thank you so much for entering into my live stream. This is going to be a little paint with me as I get ready for my very first art market. So thank you for joining me. Make sure to hit the like button. It really does help when you hit the like button, and subscribe. And this piece is Stay for Dinner, which I'm really in love with the vibe of this piece. It is such a vibe. And I'm just like going to be painting this in today, seeing how it goes. And hopefully I'm wanting to finish 3 pieces in this session. We'll see. I've already painted the backgrounds and sketched them out, so I'm not sketching them from scratch because I already did that previously. And now all I need to do is paint them in. And since this is going to be my very first art market, I am trying to get as much of this done as possible, because I need to not only finish all of the original pieces, because my art market is going to be all originals, all original paintings. I might have some cards that I've made previously that have been printed out, and some original greeting cards. So I'm gonna have the greeting cards, the original paintings, which I'll turn into prints later, and they'll be available on my website. So do make sure to click the link in the description if you see anything that you like, because if you sign up to my newsletter, you'll be notified once these pieces are available. So wait for the launch, and then you'll be able to get your hands on any of the pieces that I've painted throughout this collection. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out to bring you new pieces and to share with you my journey. I just really love sharing with you my journey. So please do just check out my videos, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which piece has been your favorite so far. Do you really love this piece? Or if there has been another piece that you've been obsessed with, let me know. And this entire marathon has been a complete sprint. I've just been getting these done and being extremely productive. which has felt really good for me. Let me know what makes you feel productive. And if you have ever done a drawing or painting challenge. Getting these pieces ready has been one of the most fun, I'd say. And I'm just going in with like this kind of like really deep red color for the letters. I've already done like the background in like a kind of like metallic light color, just so that I can like really fill that background in first. And then I'm gonna go in with the red in the glass and also for the letters as well. Then I'll do the pasta, the hand as well last. And this whole collection has been really just showing all the things that I love, and they've been just inspired by things in my life as well. At my house, we really love hosting people. We love having people around for dinner. We love making meals together. Me and my husband really love having lots of different desserts that we make at home. We love making lots of food at home. So a lot of these pieces are food themed. Um, they feature fun characters because that's just something that I really love to bring into my illustrations, whether that is a plant, so that's a person, or if it is the wine that has a face, or if it's a frog character or a funny duck. All of those things come into my illustration as the way that is kind of like my signature style. And it's a way for me to bring fun into my art, not taking it too seriously, really, and just having fun and being playful. And I love that playfulness. There's just so many different styles of art. And whenever I see really fun, playful art, that really speaks to me a lot. And that's what I try to inject into the pieces that I create. And that's why I just love these little kind of cute kind of characters here. You'll see some of the drips from the wine have some faces in them. So I just try to infuse that into the pieces. So do say hello and where you're from if you are in the live. Don't be a silent viewer. I love to hear from you. Drop your location and where you are in the world. I just would really love to hear where you guys are. So now I've done these pieces. I really like what I've done so far. I've got the red there. So I think that I'm going to start moving on to, that just flew across my page. I'm going to start moving on to doing the wine. That was just so funny. Like the paintbrush like springboarded across my page. I'm like, how did that happen? And I'm just going in with the exact same color as I used for the lettering. And I'm just trying to make sure that I fill up my brush and just get that deep color. So for the wine, I am just really making sure to have that kind of light, kind of glossy feel to it. So it feels like it's a liquid inside of the glass. I am going to go over the face in the red. just because the wine is its own personality. So later on, I think I might add some more details to the face. And then I'm leaving that kind of space around so that it can kind of like looks like a little bit like glass. I might add some white on later on if I feel like that will work for it. I'm not sure if I want to add white to it yet, but we'll see. So that looks so good so far. Just adding a little bit more of that deeper red color into the bottom, but not going all the way to the edge. And just maintaining that character there. Just blending it along and letting that settle. And now I'm going to do these little drips that are kind of like poking off. I'm not really dipping in any extra color at this point. I'm just using what I already have on my brush. Some of them I'll let it go outside of the line as well. Some of them I'll just go inside the line. It doesn't need to be too precious because part of this is about that kind of freeness and the craziness. I'm making it crazy because it is a fun piece. So just some more red here. Some of them I'm making a deeper red, and some of them I'm just making a lighter red as well. Make it crazy. That's what's always going on in my head. I'm like, how can I make this look even more crazy? And if you're enjoying this live stream, don't forget to hit the like button, because I really do appreciate it when I see that you have enjoyed it and have responded with a like. Even if you don't feel like commenting, just drop a like and a subscribe. So let's get a little bit more water on the brush, then do this little drip here as well. I'm just going to do some splashes, splodges. Not sure if I want to do some. I'm going with it. I'm doing some that are outside of the line as well, because I feel like that's right for this illustration. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with the red and all the red that I want to add into this painting. So I'm just going to clean my brush off and leave that to the side. So I've got my brush on the side. I'm going to leave that to dry. And I think I'm going to work on this little fork over here and then the pasta. So I'm going to go to the fork first. Then after I've done the fork, I'll do the hand and the glass. And I think for the fork and the rest of it, I am going to go in with some, some acrylics. I did not mean to like shake you all around. So sorry about that. This is just what's happening. That's just the day that we're having right now. So I'm just gonna mix a little bit of white and black to make a little bit of the grayish color. So let's get that over here. And I want it to be a nice little metallic grey colour. That looks good so far. And I think that I'm gonna try and find, what brush should I use? I'll use this kind of like roundish flat brush. So I'm gonna use this brush here. And now I'm gonna do this little fork here. So I'm gonna go in with this grey, and this is the grey acrylic that I just mixed. And just gonna go in with like kind of like a flat color first, watered down kind of to match the rest of the watercolors. Sometimes I do like the acrylics just so that I can get a little bit more of that opaqueness and yeah, just some more opaque color. And then I'll just add that very, very slowly to the fork. I'm just trying to be very, very slow. You can see how slow I'm taking it so that I don't get an unintended look. Because this is like a fork and it's like very sharp, it's a little bit different from these. So because these were drips, it doesn't matter if they like go outside the line because it's like they're drips. Whereas this fork, they're sharp points, so I don't want it to go, I wouldn't really want it to go too much out of the line. So I'm just trying to be as neat as possible. I feel like I should get a thinner brush. I don't know, I probably do have a thinner brush, but I don't know where it is. So we're gonna make do with what we have. So good so far. So I like that, so I'm just going in with a little bit of white. And yeah, just a little bit of white in different areas. Just to show it's metallic and a little bit of dark. Maybe a bit too much dark there. And take some of that darker area and brought it up to there. I go quiet when I'm concentrating. So just doing some brush strokes over here, bringing that down. And there we have it. I feel like I still want to go more into the white. Okay, I'm gonna stick with that for now. If I am gonna add anything else there, I'm gonna wait for it to dry first. So that section is basically done. Now I want to add a little bit of white to my glass, like I said I would. So now I'm going to add a little bit of white to areas of the glass. And just like spreading it with the acrylic paint. And I just love that kind of brush stroke effect that you get with acrylic paint. It's kind of like what I want to lean into right now. Just the expressiveness of it. And then I'm just smoothing it out a little bit. So we got some white there. And I'm going to go in with some more white around the edges. So just around these bits here. Getting a bit of that red bleeding into it, and then adding a bit of the white to the stem of the glass. I always forget what that's called. I feel like it's got a special name, but I can't remember what it is. I'm just going to add like lots of white paint to the bottom of the glass too. Adding more white to those areas. I'm just painting it on a little bit thicker now, adding a little bit more of that white paint, building up texture and opacity. So I'm going to leave that part for now and then move on to the hand that we have here. So I'm going to mix up some of my colors. I'm going to take some of the yellow, a little bit of the red, and the white as well. And we're going to go and make an orange or a peach. I'm going to take some of that peach color and mix it over here with some water. And I'm going to add some more yellow to it. You can see I've added more yellow here. Just a teeny bit of black as well. The teeniest amount of black I put in. Just needs a bit more white. And a teeny bit more black. I'm going to lighten some more with the white. This is how I mix my skin tones until I find the shade that I want. So now we've got a shade that I like. I'm going to go in with this shade. And start painting the hand. I had a lot of fun drawing this piece, and painting it in is also quite precious and also fun too. So I'm just going to take my time here with the hands because I want to make sure that it looks like how I want it to look, how I envisioned it to be. Just adding a bit more water to thin the acrylic just a little bit and smooth it out. And then I can also build it up if I need to. Just trying to make sure that it's not too thick. And so that I can have an even coverage. And I'm also trying not to cover up my black lines too much. With watercolor it's much easier because the watercolor does is very it's very see-through. So any lines that I put down previously is still going to show up, but with the acrylic, I have to be a little bit more careful about how I lay it down so that it doesn't cover up the previous lines that I had made before, and be strategic about how I use that as part of my design. Decided to go in with a darker color over the lines in some areas. I think that might make more sense. And next, I'm going to move on to the pasta. So I'm just mixing that up. I added a little bit of that brown to make it darker. So it's not just, you don't want it to be just, I guess, a bright yellow. Now I'm adding lots of water to it to water it down a bit. I just almost want a thinner brush, but I don't know if I have one. I feel like that could be thinner. Let's try that. I just want a little bit more control. I don't know where I put my things. Very organized, aren't I? Yeah, that works better for me, this size brush. It's slightly smaller than what I was using before, which helps with control of where I want the colours to go. So now that I've switched to a smaller brush, it's really helping me with the control of the spread of color, especially for these pasta spaghetti noodles. I don't want them to be too messy or too much over the line or nothing like that. So I'm using the acrylic paint, and I've kind of watered it down to make it a little bit more spreadable and not so thick, because acrylic paint doesn't always have to be thick. So this is a very mixed media piece. You've got the acrylic paint and you've got the black pen underneath, the watercolor, and I might finish this off with some pencils. So I'm just going to let this dry and then see how I feel, and if I feel that if it looks finished or not. And then if I feel like it needs more, then that's when I'll add in the pencil details. Ooh, that looks cool. I'm really liking how the noodles have come out. Like, I like that. It looks good. Stay for dinner. Ooh, I'm liking how it's looking. So far, I'm really happy with the noodles. Let me know in the comments what you think of this piece. Stay for dinner looks pretty cool, I think. I'm not sure if it's 100% finished. I don't think it is. I'm gonna need to add some pencils on top. I'm gonna let this dry, but so far I'm really happy with it. It's come out exactly as I felt I would want it to be. Now we have the Snack Club piece. Now we can move on to this piece. This is a frog Snack Club. Again, featuring very, very funny, cute characters. And he has like a cake in his hand. So he's so excited about being able to eat some snacks. So let's continue on with the journey of eating snacks, I'd say. I think I'm gonna go with that smaller brush again. That small brush worked really well before, so I'm gonna go in with that small brush again, with the kind of like salmony pink that I mixed earlier. So let's start on this next piece, where it is the Snack Club, which is so cute. Again, everything is snack themed around what we love in this house. I keep saying we, but I mean obviously my husband and I, we're like snack obsessed. and that also inspires a lot of my work. So let's get those smooth lines. I've watered down the acrylic paint again. The background I already painted previously just to speed things up. I just put down like a layer of a light wash of watercolor, because sometimes I don't like the blank white background, so it's just like it has something in it even if I'm not doing anything to the background. Let me know what your favorite snacks are, and if you feel like you are a part of the snack club as well. I'm just going to move my paper around so that I just have an easier time painting out the letters. The typography is like the most tricky part because it's very small areas that you need to paint, and a lot of it, rather than just a small detail in a painting. I've just gotten quiet because obviously I'm just concentrating. These small pieces are just so tricky. I just need to make sure I've got my concentration for every letter. Oh yeah. Bear with me while I have this upside down. I know it looks really weird, but it's helping me to get a little bit of a closer line. So there we have it, Snack Club. That is so good so far. I'm happy with that. Since I already have the pink on my brush, I'm gonna go in and start doing the in-between layers here. So I might as well paint similar bits. Oh my gosh, I got a little flecks on here. Very careful to not get dust on here. Since I've already got that pink, I'm gonna do the jam in between the cake. This is gonna be like a Victoria sponge cake, so I'm doing kind of like the jam middle before I wash off my brush. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, the jam and the middle part. And then now, I think I'm gonna do his mouth. So I'm gonna take this color here and then kind of like mix it with some of this white and lighten it up a little bit because it's just a little bit too brown. Just want it to have a light belly. And water it down just a tad. And then we've got this nice kind of like browny, lemony yellow, which will be good for his belly. And I think maybe his hands too. I'm not sure, do frogs have... I guess it's my own character, so I can make it up as I go along. I'm gonna start just painting in the belly or the under mouth bit with kind of like a lightish yellow. And I'm using like a flat brush just to get some more spread and a little bit of that brush texture. Just going along and then down. And I'm not sure whether or not I'm gonna add it to his hands. I guess I'll just do his hands green, I think. I'm not sure what color frog's hands are supposed to be, but I'm gonna make it up. This is my own character. There we go. And then just do this little V here where his shirt comes up to. He's got a little tiny little V in the shirt. There we go. Very nice. Quite happy with that so far. So we have the belly done. Now we've got to get the green in. I think I'll do the green next, actually. No, I'm going to start with his overalls. His overalls seem like the best thing to start with because it's not touching any of the colors. So I'm going to go with the overalls next. And I'll just mix a little bit of blue and a little bit of white together. So I just put some blue there, and then I'm going to take some of the white and mix that in. Just a little bit more blue, and mix that in. I mean white. Just to make it a slightly lighter colored blue, and just add some more water into it to thin it out so it's not so thick. It's a good color. I don't know if I want to, I think I will. I'll just redraw in the pocket again if I need it. So now just really focusing on that overall. He's kind of wearing like these denim overalls. So I'm going to go in with like this blue. Then I might do like a darker blue as well, details. Making sure to just go around the plate and his hands. So that's done. He's got his overalls on. So we finished Snack Club, we've done the overalls. So I guess next would be to do his green. I'm gonna do his face and his hands. Then I'll do the shirt, then the plate, and then the cake last. So I'm going to take some of that blue and mix it into this browny yellow so that I can get a green. It's not quite as light as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to add more white. Okay, so I've got a green that I like. So I'm just gonna start painting him in. Now it's time to do his head. So I'm just gonna go in with that green and start painting over his face. Gonna lose some of the mouth and the eyes, but that's okay. I can just paint those details back in later. And this is just the acrylic that I've watered down. And just going in with that. And then I will probably use some colored pencil to finish him off. Let's do these hands. So now that I've got that one done, I'm gonna go into his shirt. I think for his shirt, I'm gonna go for like a brightish kind of yellow. And I'm just doing this in watercolor. Just gonna keep it quite loose and then go over it with, I'd say paint, or maybe I might do colored pencils. So now just going in with that nice yellowy orange for his shirt, and that's just bringing some brightness to it, and it just really pops against the blue. You can really just see that yellow popping against the colors that are already there. So now I'm going in with this smaller brush and the darker blue and like drawing in some details that were a little bit lost, like the pocket that he had at the front. I'm gonna do some stitch lines as well down the side. And I'm just taking that darker blue and adding details like these little stitch lines inside the pocket. And adding it along the side where you'd have stitch lines. Careful not to get it in the yellow because the yellow is still a little bit wet, so I'm being very dangerous right now. Just doing these little dashes. And then blue circles for the buttonholes. Just gonna add a little shadow where the plate would be. And just a little bit of shadow around the hand. Now for the cake, the most exciting part. I guess it's all exciting, but I am very excited to do the cake. So I just mixed up a little bit of a brownie colour. I'm just going to use that for the top of the cake. And then I'm just going through the cake. I'm just doing some kind of like wiggly line, kind of like showing the thickness of the cake. So that is my cake so far. So far I'm happy with it. Just gonna let those layers dry a little bit. I've now drawn all the different pieces and added in the paint. Now that I've done all of that, I'm just gonna let it all dry and then color in and add extra paint later on. Just want to let those dry. But now we can go back to the previous one and then start adding some of the pencil detail to that. So for this, I'm going to be using my Caran d'Ache 30 Swish color, and this is the water resistant color pencils. So these are really good because you can use them with water and they're not going to kind of like shift or move or do anything like that. So I'm going to do that for this and go in with some of these colors and start coloring in like the pasta. I'm going to add a little bit of orange just to add a little bit of darkness and dimension to it. And then also around here too. So I've done some of those details. And then for this, I'm going to go in with a little bit of red. Just in some of the areas. For the wine's face, I'm going to add some black for the eyes, just so you can see it a little bit more clearly, and then add a little bit of black to the eyebrows. And then also add some more black pencil to the other eye and to the eyebrow, and just bring that character's face back in a little bit. Just add a little bit more pencil, add some brightness into the eye with the white pencil, not too much. And then I'm going to do a little bit of pink on the lips. It's not going to show too much because it's difficult to see on a dark kind of like background, but I'm just adding and defining the lips a little bit here. And then with each of these bits of wine droplets, I'm just going to add a little bit of red to the outer corners of them. Just give them a little bit more dimension. So just added those dimensional bits to it. So pretty much done with kind of like the pencil for now, I think. Maybe just add tiny bits of, just a little bit of detail here. You know, I can never make my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And I add little bits and pieces to it, different areas. I'm just going to add a little bit of darkness to this area here. So I'm just adding some additional brown to some areas around the wine, and just adding like kind of like darkness and light, just to make it pop a little bit. So I'm going to let that's kind of more or less done. I'm going to move on to the very last piece, which is this guy over here. This guy got a little bit of spillage here, which is kind of annoying, but we'll have to work with that. Super sleepy now. Glad to be on my last piece. So I think for this character, I'm going to go in with like a grayish white. I'm going to say grayish white color. Not sure if I want to do watercolor or acrylic. You know what? I am going to go with acrylic, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go with acrylic. Oops, I keep doing that. Ugh, so annoying. So I think that I'm going to go with acrylic. And I don't even know what a duck actually looks like. Now that we're on to our final piece, I'm painting a duck, but I know what a duck looks like, but I just don't know what a duck looks like as well. So I'm not sure if its body is grey, is it white? I know I could look at a picture, but I feel like since these are kind of made up characters, we can make it up as we go along. So which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make it up as I go along. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, they've got a lightish white to browny body and orange feet and an orange beak. That's what my brain's telling me. But something's telling me that that might not be reality. So we're gonna have a made up animal that kind of looks like a duck, maybe not look like a duck. We'll find out when it's finished. So let's see what this duck turns out to be. I feel like this is just way too beige almost. Too brown. Added too much darkness to it, so I'm going to lighten it up a bit. I'm going to forget what he looks like. Because I'm going to add the detail back in. I'm going to forget what I've painted over. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. We've got We've done it. I love that he's got like these headphones on and he's like super chilling to music. This character is a vibe. It actually is a vibe. Genuinely is the vibe. Oh no, I got a bit impatient there. I got way too much paint on my brush. Let's take a smaller brush and fix that. Oops, I knew I was doing it. It was too much of a big brush. And I was also getting mad at the fact that there was a paint splotch, so I was trying to cover up the paint splotch as well. So it wasn't just that the brush was too big, it was also the brush was too big and I was trying to cover up the splotch of paint that I'd messed up. And there's still some of the paint splotch on the headphones, but that's fine because I'm going to use a darker colour, but it's harder to cover up stuff like that when it's like a light colour, which is why I kind of went in a little bit too heavy with acrylic paint. But I still think it will work, so that's fine. Let's paint these arms in. So much easier with a smaller brush. Why do I torture myself and try and make myself use too much of a big brush? It's great for like spreading in large areas, but really I need to be using this smaller brush. Look at this stomach. What do ducks eat? He's been eating too much. Too much fish. So we have painted in kind of like the base coat of his skin. I'm gonna do the feet and the beak. And I think I'm gonna do both the feet and the beak in watercolor. Just really, really opaquely, just making it thick. So kind of the opposite of the acrylic. With the acrylic, I was trying to go in super thin, but now I'm using the watercolors in the opposite way so that it matches the acrylic. So I'm just going in really thick with barely any water and mostly pigment for the feet. think I'm gonna make the music notes also yellow as well. This is a very, very, very bright and yellowy theme. Which I'm here for. Let's do this music note yellow too. And then we have the headphones, which I'm going to do in a nice bright pink. I think the headphones are my favorite detail of this character. So I'm just going to do it in this bright kind of like pink so that they stand out. And then I'll do the center a different color. And I always just do what I feel in the moment. So I feel like going in with a blue will feel right for me right now. And I like how that color is popping against each other. A lot of times I like to pick contrasting colors when I'm creating an illustration so that different colors pop next to each other and really stand out. So I'm going to leave this for now, let bits and pieces dry, and then come back to it. And now I'm going to move back to this one so that I can finish it off, get it all done, and have it as a finished piece. Yay! So I'm going to go in with some black pen. I think I'm going to leave the plate white. I've made this decision to leave the plate white, so I'm just going to use a little bit of black marker instead. Some of the fine liner in some areas and just define different areas, and that's how I'm going to finish this piece off, with the little bit of the black liner as well as colored pencils as well. So I'm just lining different areas like around the neck and just adding back in some of that detail that was lost when I painted over it, and just making sure that you can see those little details and those little pieces, because I think that really just gives it personality when it has those tiny details. And I always just think about the character and the style that I want to create whenever I do an illustration. Just like whether or not I'll do these little dots down the seam, how I want the cuffs to look. All of them are different details that I consider when I'm doing my illustration. And I'm just going to make this bit here a little bit thicker. So I make some lines more thick. Some of them I make wonkier. Sometimes I don't join them fully and let them be a little bit more broken up. And that's just the style that I want it to have. And I don't even line everything. So a lot of times I'll just leave bits and areas without any lines. And sometimes I will have areas with lines. Kind of want to add kind of like some little lines there. Some kind of like puffing at the sleeve here as well. And I'll add some more creases on the other side. And more puffs here. Just to show some of the shape. Then on my pocket, I'm just going to put a little bit of a black outline. Not too much, just a few little bits of detail to show that there's a pocket there. And then I'm going to do the face. So I'm just going to do that thick line there. And just make it a little bit thicker. Make sure that you can see the details that were lost. Redrawing in my eyes. And just redrawing this eye as well. His eyes are kind of like turned up because he's kind of like smiling. And then I'll fill that in with the thicker side. And I'm just so excited to see what people's reactions will be at my market, what pieces may or may not sell. And it's just so hard when you're doing your first art market because you never know what the demand will be like. It's just like releasing your babies out there and just seeing what happens, really. I think I'm going to do a little black line here too, where the mouth and kind of like the stomach part starts, I guess. That might be his stomach, not sure. I think it is his belly. There we go. Very, very cute. As you want to define his smile, I just want him to show how happy he is to be eating a cake. Thank you for liking the live. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you've been enjoying it so far. Oops, we do not want the brush on her. Let me just move some of these brushes out of the way because they are not needed right now. Because now I'm going to be going into different details and adding in with the coloring pencils. So I'm going right back to using the Caran d'Ache pencils, and I'm going to be adding some details of different areas. So I'm just going to go on to the cake and kind of like color in some areas. And just color in the cake, add in some of that detail on the cake area. And then what else should I add? I'm gonna go in with a little bit of gray, kind of like add a little bit of gray around the plate. Even though I didn't paint the plate in, I just want to add a little bit of pencil detail here. I just didn't feel like the plate needed to be painted in any color. I've just left it the white of the paper. I'm just going to add a little bit of, I guess, a bit of shadow around here and also around where his hands are holding the plate. just along here. Then along near where his, like it's near to his top. So I'm going to go in with this green pencil and just go over the hands a little bit, kind of like even out that color a little bit. So I'm just doing like a really rough kind of scribbly thing. I'm going to use this like really rough kind of scribbly technique as I go over the hands. And also the face as well, just to even, I guess, the tone a little bit and add some continuity to it, so it's not so kind of like rough. I guess it's just a little bit more harmonious. I'm just doing these kind of like scribbly hoops, harmonizing the color and also adding a little bit of texture to the face as well, brightening up that green. So I like how that looks. And then also around the mouth, just around the edges here, where you can just see where his mouth starts. Just a little bit of kind of, I guess you could say, a bit of brown or a bit of shadow around those areas. Then also down here as well, where his neck meets the shirt, just adding a little bit of that shadow there. I'm adding a little bit more pink to the cake, just brightening up those colors in that Victoria sponge, just making it pop a little bit. And then for the yellow, I'm just doing a bit of a scribbly texture over the sleeves and over the shirt, just adding a little bit of that yellow texture into it, but not too hard, just a little bit of the yellow in some areas. And I'm taking a little bit of kind of like a beigey color and then going into the inside of the armholes and then along kind of like these little creasy things that I've done. And then they're not realistic, but you can kind of like imagine that he would have like some kind of creases around his shirt. So I'm just gonna add the darker brown along those creases and inside of the areas where his hands are coming out. So this area, of course, we've got it around the collar, and then maybe a little bit down his seams. Then I'm going to add some of the blue, just a little bit of cross hatching. Just adding that little bit of texture with the cross hatches to the denim. So this piece is pretty much done. I'm happy with how it looks overall. I'm happy to say that the snack club is officially finished. So that means that we can go back to our music duck. And then I'm going to do the same thing here as well, where I'm just lining the eyes, just adding a little bit of that black liner in to make it stand out a little bit where it's, the details have been lost, where I've added the paint. So just really just going around outlining it, but not fully, just kind of like flicking some details here and there. Just adding bits and pieces, and I don't mind if it's a little bit out of the line with the paint joints. I feel like that makes it a little bit more whimsical looking. And I just love that kind of like whimsy kind of style. So I just try to keep the lines very loose, a little bit wobbly, and not fully like kind of like lining every bit. Now let's do the beak. The beak is very important. So it's like the main part of the duck. I think I might just do a little bit of extra ones here. And do an extra. And go in with that red pencil from Caran d'Ache and just go around. Just adding a little bit of that darkness and texture there. And I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow in areas where his arm and shoulder would be, his neck. And then around here where the headphones kind of sit. Just a little bit in this hair. I'm going to give him a little bit of a shadow where he sits. Just in the brown there. do a little bit of darker black here. And that is the music duck finished. So now that I finished the shadow to the music duck, it's done. Snack Club is done, and also Stay for Dinner is also done. So finished of this session. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more lives like this, and also check out the link in the description to my website and also to all of my other channels. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and I will see you in